agents can't go and make a Wells Fargo account or a Morgan Stanley account, right? You're gonna be on these payment rails, and in reality, like it should I mean, that to me has to be where I think the next bull run is going to come.
I think, we just need to convince the Clawdbots that Pengu is the
social currency.
That's the medium of exchange.
Once your prefrontal cortex kicks in, you're like, wait, hold on, maybe I shouldn't be advertising my entire criminal endeavors linked to my handle that I'm very proud of, and posting it on the internet for everyone to see. Maybe I shouldn't do that.
Hey everyone, I'm Kain Warwick and welcome to Uneasy Money, because what happens on chain never stays on chain. I'm here with my co-host Taylor Monahan, security at MetaMask, and Luca, Netz, CEO of Pudgy Penguins. One quick thing before we start: nothing you hear on Uneasy Money is financial advice. We're just three builders talking about what's happening on chain, and we want you to always do your own research before aping in. You can find all our disclosures at unchainedcrypto.com/uneasymoney. And before we begin, here's a word from the sponsors that make the show possible.
The Energy Network is an intelligent, decentralized grid that coordinates smart devices to balance supply and demand. Energy Dollar is the native token of the network from one of Europe's fastest growing energy startups. Follow at Fuse Energy on X to find out more. Multi-Chain Advisors is an emerging technology growth firm that has helped create $50+ billion in enterprise value for 80+ clients over the past 4 years. They're the partner to help navigate markets. Build real traction today at multichainadv.com.
All right. First things first, we're going to kick off with a story that is not really about crypto, although I guess the intersection of crypto and AI is becoming more and more interesting. So Moltbot, or Clawdbot, as it is called, which is its own interesting thing, right? The Claude people were like, you can't call it Clawdbot, guys. You got to do something else. And they had to change the name. So Agentic AI meets memecoins. So what is Clawdbot? Clawdbot is an open source agent that lives inside of your computer. And there's actually a security component to this as well, which we can talk about. But you basically install this AI, runs on Claude, the LLM, and it can do kind of anything that your computer can do as an agent. You can talk to it through various channels like Telegram. And I think, like, as someone who's been vibe coding pretty hardcore for a year, and watching how much smarter these models have gotten, I'm not surprised that this went so viral, because I think the gap between people's expectations and reality has kind of collapsed a little bit. Like, you go through these waves, right? Like, there's like the hype wave where like AGI is coming, and then you hit a bunch of issues and people go, no, they're actually really dumb. And then everyone kind of fades it for a little while, and then they get much smarter, and then everyone's like, holy shit, AGI is coming. It's like inside my computer right now. So that's what the last week kind of felt like, I guess.
Yes.
Everything's moving so quickly. Like, I tweeted this morning. It feels like pre-DeFi summer Ethereum.
Yeah.
Like, every day there was some crazy thing, and it just felt like if you were sleeping for like 20 seconds, you were missing out on like so much alpha. And it just feels like that right now. Like the market is moving so quickly, and there is something about this like recursive self-improvement loop that's going on, where you make coding easier and people start building more tools, and then those tools make it easier to make more tools, and you just get this like crazy loop, right? So this guy wrote a post 2 days ago and was like, hey guys, maybe don't like expose all of your ports on the internet. And it's even worse, right? Like, if you read through it, it's quite an interesting read. It's on X. We can link it later. But he's like, it's not just that you're exposing ports. Like, that would be like a dumb thing to do. But there's a guy sitting behind those ports who's like, I will do anything you tell me.
Yes. And the guy who will do anything, right? You've granted explicit permission to do anything on all of your most valuable accounts.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
So I think, and there's like this very weird, like, for me, it made me realize once again that people, even the people who shill security, don't necessarily have like a deep understanding of like the foundations of security, because they're like, I bought a new Mac Mini, so it's isolated. And I'm like, bro, the number one reason that you don't want them on your computer is because your computer, like your daily driver device, has session cookies, passwords, authentication, and that all, like all your most valuable things live in
Just
the cloud.
unlocks everything. Those are keys. Those keys
So-
unlock all your shit.
Right. And so that's why we like recommend like don't like having separate devices for things, is because your daily driver device that you use all day, every day, has everything logged in. And if they get on that device, then they can go and get anything from any of your accounts. Now, just because you have a separate device that has all of those same session cookies and all from like full ass permission to read and write to any of your accounts, to log in, to grab the data, to make changes, right? That does not protect you. That's actually the core.
It's actually, you know what? It's not only does it not protect you, it's actually worse, right? Because it is the illusion. You wouldn't grant those permissions on your main machine because you're like, like this has all my stuff on it, right? And then you walk over next door and grant like the exact same permissions on a thing that has like a pipe directly to your stuff.
And these days, by the way, like people don't realize, like these days, like everything is syncing all the time. So the logins and the authentication is really the most valuable thing. Yes, you might have some like old files on your computer, but increasingly the reality is like
All cloud. It's all cloud.
It's all in the cloud.
All cloud.
Anything that you're
There's
using,
a keychain that has all your stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, but it kind of reminds me of like the hardware wallet people that are like, no, bro, it's fine. I've got a hardware wallet. You don't understand. And then you start talking to them, and it's like you're just signing bytes. Anything that pops up on that thing, you just press all the key. You just press it as quickly as possible. You don't look at anything. Like you've solved one attack vector of like key exfiltration, which is not the main problem, and exposed yourself to like this illusion of security where you're like, no, I'm fine. I'm gonna sign. So
no, that was the Ledger CTO Charles likes to go on Twitter and be like, Ledger would fix this, and I was like, it didn't fix it. It didn't fix it, guys.
Yeah. So I think there's like so many things to this story. One is Clawdbot, CLAWD bot, this like play on Claude. Anthropic did not appreciate that, and presumably sent them a nice cease and desist, I'm guessing. And the guy was like, don't worry about it. We're going to call it something weird that's not related to Claude. So I think that one was quite funny. But then, maybe this was probably the most eye-opening thing to me. And I kind of knew this, but it had been a while since someone had pointed out to me. And it seems like this technology has gotten better. There are these port scanner people who scan ports on the internet, like just constantly, right? It's like almost like an indexer for crypto, but like indexing every port that's on the internet and the response. And you can just go and search and be like, hey, like I'm looking for this keyword in this port scanner, and it gives you all of the things that are responding. I was kind of blown away by that one. That was pretty crazy.
It's fascinating because there's an incentive, right? Because there's a huge market. If you can get on basically any server, any computer, there's so much you can do with it these days. And thus the tools evolve rapidly in response to that. There's also a large number of like security researchers and stuff that do this for legitimate reasons. But it like, it kind of like goes back and forth. Like they built like really robust tools, and then the threat actors are like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah. Luca, what's your take been on the Clawdbot thing? Have you got one running?
No, I'm out of that sphere a little bit. So much so that I got a guy on our team, on the abstract team named Jared Watts. I highly recommend anyone listening.
I know
He's a beast.
Yeah.
I'm learning. I'm starting. I'm not gonna. It's very obvious to me that if you're not vibe coding and if you're not just completely utilizing the Claude interface, that you're gonna be left behind in a big way. Obviously, I became a kind of a big pro, at least on the LLM side, but that's not rocket science. But I've really, not taken the vibe coding things very seriously, and so Clawdbot, outside of buying the, I bought the the Fugazi Claude token. As for my mind, when I see something trending, my mind, instead of just
what's the token?
Skill set, I'm like, what's the token?
Well, it's funny. I said this last week, right? But like, I must have spent at this point, I would say, across like Cursor, Codex, Claude Code, or whatever, 100K this year in tokens, like easily 100K. And I'm like, there is no direct return on investment for me. Like, what am I doing with my life, right? Like, it's all like intangible. I'm like, I could have bought so many. I'm buying the wrong kind of token here. Like, these tokens.
You're gonna buy more Pudgy cards, dude. What are you doing?
I know. I could have finished that sketch set that my son bought about me.
Are you guys using it at Infinex? Like, are you guys like? I talked to Sigar the other day, and he's like, "Dude, things that used to take us 2 weeks to ship, we're shipping in 2 days. It's great."
Yeah. So I think my hot take on this is like everything's coordination problems.
Yeah.
That like the lens that the thing that got me so excited about Ethereum back in 2016 is like it all of a sudden there was this giant coordination problem when the DAO hack happened. And immediately my like coordination spidey senses went off, and I was like, people are coordinating here around this thing, and it's like a big deal. And so that like got me to go down the rabbit hole. And this feels very similar. So you have a team of people, 5 people, 10 people, 50 people, 500 people, 50,000 people, 500,000 people, and you got to coordinate them, right? As that scales, it gets harder. The bigger the org, the harder it is to coordinate people. And coordinating people has been like the primary thing that we've needed to do, even down to like the level of an individual person. The reason why Clawdbot is so cool is because it helps you self-coordinate.
Mm-hmm.
Why people are so excited about it, because it's like, I've got all these things that I need to do to coordinate my own life. And this thing goes out and like solves those problems for me and, deals with my email and deals with like, so that coordination problem, even down to like a single person is really challenging. Right. But then you get a team of 30 engineers and you try and get them to do something, and fucking God help you, like figuring that out. Right. It is really, really hard. There's like all of these like social elements, whatever. What's interesting about the last, honestly, like 6 weeks, I would say, right? And for me, I think the big switch that flicked over is Claude Code went from, used to have to type ultrathink to get it to go into like deep thinking mode, even when you had it on max mode, right? And they switched this about 3 weeks ago, where it's on by default. There's no more ultrathink. And that to me is where like it went really parabolic, and all of a sudden it was like, oh wow, these things are that much smarter when you make them smart all the time. And so the big question for me is like, how do you coordinate agents? That's actually now the question, because a single agent can do something sequentially, but context is really hard. They get context poisoning really quickly. And so Ralph, which was the thing that everyone was excited about 2 weeks ago, was about like this coordination problem, right? Like instead of having one agent that tries to like grind through a 200-page plan, you have individual agents that spin up, that are ephemeral, that do a loop of work, and then they hand over to the next guy, and they just loop through it. And like that was like a very coarse-grained solution to the coordination problem. I think that there are many, many other solutions, and even Kimi, the new, I guess it's like, it looks to be people like, I'm not 100% certain about this, but it looks to be like someone has jailbroken Claude and gotten the weights and has like published them as an open source thing. So Kimi is like this open source model that is almost as good as Claude. But one of the things that Kimi has that Claude doesn't have, they've done this training mode where you have agent swarms. and the agents like swarm over a task and like find ways. I think the big unlock over the next like 3 to 6 months is going to be this agent coordination problem. Whoever is at the forefront of that is going to be able to just like blow through some shit.
So, Kain, you seem to be on the ground level here. And I remember meeting you in New York, you telling me you're vibe coding a Pudgy game. Let me get like a really high level macro of where you think this all goes. Obviously, Dario just published that article, kind of the flip side of where you think AI. Give me the like, where are we 3 years from now? Where's the disruption going to lead? Like, give me the highest level out of the weeds perspective based on somebody who's obviously been using this stuff, and I have a lot of respect to your macro takes. What do you think is going on here?
So I think I should probably caveat with like my macro takes have a history of being incredibly wrong. So, you know, I'll just throw that out there, right? Like ETH is not at 25K as I bet Kyle Samani 18 months ago that it would be. So, you know, take anything that I say from a macro perspective with a grain of salt. But my hot take on where we're going is that like we have very, very smart individual people, right? These agents, they're very, very smart individually for like legitimately 20 minutes. And then they get like exponentially dumber every minute that you're interacting with them. And this is like just, it's the weirdest thing. And there is no real mental model for this. It's not how we think about humans, right? Like you get a human and you start teaching them stuff and they get better and like they stay good and they have like this upward trajectory for like 50 years before they start to like taper off, right? And you know, early on there's like you get like a 3-year-old, right? And you teach them some shit and then like at 4 they're like 20 times smarter than at 3. And so there's like this exponential thing. It's weird to interact with an entity that spawns super smart, like autistic level, like genius, knows so many things. And then you start talking to it and like 20 minutes later it's retarded. Like that is a weird thing to manage and like think through, right? And that's why I say that like, you know, the challenge is going to be in coordinating these things. And so once you figure this out, and Kimi is the first time that I've seen like a really focused effort to coordinate swarms of agents. There's been people that have been trying to do like sequential stuff, but like coordinating a swarm of agents to go and tackle a task. The interesting thing about this is that right now there's a fairly high cost, even in tokens, to getting a single agent to do something. So getting a single agent to do something and then getting other agents to check it is the hard problem here, right? So all of the time that I spent over the last 9 months learning to vibe code and like trying to figure out where the edges are all me. Every single problem that exists in this space is like every time I have to do something. And so the key thing is trying to figure out how do you remove the human from the loop and throw agents at the problem and have them kind of self-correct. That's the hard thing. Once you have this recursive self-improvement, and that's what, you know, Dario's thing, right? He's like, we are using these models to build smarter models, right? Once there are no humans in that loop, that's where you get to like a fast takeoff scenario, right? Where like on Tuesday, the models get together and come up with like a new theory for how maybe they can make a smarter model. And then on Wednesday, it's 10 times smarter. And then that model's like, I've got some ideas. And like genuinely, like we are in this like early part of this curve where shit's gonna get crazy. Like I pivot to being like a personal trainer or something at this point.
If somebody PTSD from the early 2000s is like, this is just going to be this similar, you know, just as similar to the tech bubble, what would be your contrarian take to that statement? Why?
So I'm old enough to have been through a couple of AI winters, right? Like AI's had winters just like crypto, right? Where, and this is why I say like there's a hype cycle and then it dies off and then a hype cycle and dies off. What's interesting about the last 3 years of AI hype cycles is it's been very compressed, right? And you know, Dario even said this in that recent post where he's like, people get the hype cycle's going like this. Meanwhile, if you actually plot the skill level of the thing, it's a linear thing that just keeps going up, right? It's just up and to the right. And so my hot take is that if you look back at some of the things that people have predicted will not happen, right? So chess, humans are too strategic for a computer to ever be better than us at chess. Like, how could a computer ever beat a grandmaster? Well, that fell over in 1997, right? And that was not even a smart model. That was just a brute forcing algorithm, basically, right? Then we had like Stockfish and all of these models that got better and better and better, to the point now where, like, at a game that we've been playing for thousands of years, the best entity that can play it is a computer, and not just a computer, but like a model, right? A model that has the ability to play this thing. And then people are like, okay, sure, chess, but like, what about Go? Like, Go's way too hard. There's like too many positions and atoms in the universe and like all this nonsense, right? And then AlphaGo crushed the best Go player to the point where like it's laughable, right? And then you go, okay, well, what about like these open world games? Then it's like, okay, well, we're winning StarCraft, right? And then it's like, all right, what about protein folding? Yeah, okay, it can do that, right? There is no thing that anyone has predicted that, and it would be fucking wild if you think about it, it'd be like saying that, yeah, sure, there are aliens on another planet that are smarter than us, but they're not going to be better at us than like writing a book. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, of course they're better at everything. And it's like, okay, but like not better at like Atari games. And it's like, what? No, like anything that you are good at, this thing is smarter than you, it will be better than you at. And that's the world that we're in. We have aliens that are inside of our planet right now that are smarter than us in very narrow domains, and those domains are rapidly expanding. Yeah. And we are going to get to a point where they're just smarter than us in every domain. And then what the fuck do we do?
Well, yeah. And like you were talking about, like the coordination thing. Once you, for lack of a better word, stop making them so like rapidly like ADHD devolving, and like can like refocus them and like re-coordinate them. Humans are not great at coordinating this. Like that's the hardest thing about scale-up organizations. It's like we're really bad at it. It requires like this very horrible modes of communication and like checks and balances. You put in processes, you create committees. Like it's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Agreed.
So yeah, that's I think like the major unlock for me is like the coordination game, which is obviously like this is what blockchain also purports to like help solve, right? Is like remove the coordination. I think that we vastly underestimate what that results in. I think we understand to a certain extent like just how inefficient the coordination is in human land, but I think that like there's going to be a tipping point where so everything just like gets completely unlocked once you kind of like quote unquote solve coordination, whatever that means. And then wild things can happen.
Again, the thing that we have now is this recursive self-improvement loop that is very human driven, right? Yeah. In the last 2 months, the ability to build tools for AI to get better has collapsed in terms of cost and time by 90%. Any kid who has access to Claude Code can cook up some scheme to try and figure out how to make these agents coordinate themselves better. So you have tens of thousands of people who could not have previously done this, who are now as good as the best engineers who were running these labs 3 years ago, building software and tools for these things. And there's thousands of people out there. It's wild. It's really wild. And like, it's going to change everything. And that's not even assuming that we get a better SOTA model in the next 6 months, which we will, of course, like Claude 5 or Codex 6 or whatever. And this is the most interesting thing to me. I was talking to a friend of mine about this last night, and I was like, it feels unlike crypto in the early crypto period where it felt like there were still moats. Moats have kind of disappeared. Your moat is you're a smart person building things, and you've got to lead on the other smart people who aren't building the right thing, and you can build a moat. Anything that you can build can be replicated by like the model in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like there are no moats. And that I think is going to be the most chaotic thing, is realizing that like moats have disappeared, at least from like an engineering perspective. Anything that you can conceive of will be buildable in minutes. So yeah, it's going to be wild. Good times.
Distribution. Only moat. They were calling
Distribution.
It is.
Regardless of like, you know what you can't replicate? You can't replicate fucking Pudgy penguins. That's what you can't replicate.
You know what else you can't replicate? Apparently not getting scammed, because there's a whole other side story to this. We're going to be talking about scams a lot. Okay, so yes, AI is magical, et cetera, et cetera. Back to crypto land-ish. In true crypto fashion, the Clawdbot is exploding. He had to rename. Anthropic is mad that he's whatever showing them up, so he renames everything. Of course, someone grabbed all the old handles, right? Because why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
There's like this thing that's like the future, and everyone loves it, or whatever.
Yeah.
And of course, the person who did that is a crypto person, because why would they not be? And then, of course, the thing that they decided to do, which actually I'm not opposed to this, as like given the available options, right? You can like go fish people, you can go try to hack people. In terms of what malicious things you can do, this is the least malicious. But I would prefer if people used it for like good faith things, like truly good faith things, but we'll take it. They launched meme coins, or promoted meme coins, including the Claude meme coin. There's multiple levels of irony here.
Yeah.
One is that Anthropic was like, oh god, I don't want our brand to be like
tainted by this AI bot, and to like hold my beer.
And this only happened because they forced the bro to rename, right? Like if he hadn't renamed, then you wouldn't have a $16 million market cap meme coin that went like, of course. And then the other side of the story obviously is, well, I mean, it's just like the most crypto thing ever, of course. But like these Claude guys, like they are not Anthropic, but like the Clawdbot builder and like the AI guys. They're smart guys. They're not crypto guys. He's sitting there going, bro, I just wanted to build something cool. What the hell did you do?
You know, the interesting thing about meme coins, I think, right? And like this whole vector is, you know, when I first got into crypto, I was like, I've been in adversarial environments. I know what that's like. And like 20 minutes in, I was like, this is fucking insane. Like there are people trying to kill you just everywhere all the time, trying to steal your money, trying to like destroy everything that you've ever done. And they're like 1 second away from pulling it off. And then you live inside of that environment for like 8 years, and you forget that people live in a different way. This guy's like, I'm just going to change Twitter handles. What could possibly go wrong?
What could go wrong? Yeah.
It's honestly far. It's the most jading part about being here, frankly.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
It also, like, I don't know. Again, like it could be way worse. I'm glad that they didn't fish a whole bunch of people and like destroy people to a certain extent. Like, I don't enjoy the meme coin culture or this shit. Like, I really don't like it. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's valuable. However, like, at least it's sort of like limited to this sphere of people who like to a certain extent, you know, what they're running into.
Yeah, you're playing the game. Yeah, agreed.
I think like the most lasting sort of impact is like it is such a major turnoff. Like from the outside, or even the people that are like 1 foot in, watching and observing, who really don't understand the game and stuff. To them, especially when they see the charts, they're just like, okay, so wait, you usurped this bro's brand after he had been like, you know, screwed by the big bad Anthropic corporation. You usurped his brand and then rugged a meme coin on it. Like,
also the problem is for people outside, right? Crypto is undifferentiated. Like the guy who, you know, like sniped that handle, launched the meme coin, whatever, like they're the same guy as like Luca and Taylor and I.
Yeah.
Like, you're all crypto people doing bad things, right? It becomes this undifferentiated mass of bad stuff that people don't like. So, I mean, look, at the end of the day, we just need to convince the Clawdbots that we're not bad guys, and then it'll be fine because they're in charge now. So.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, I had one brief. Let's try to keep it brief.
All right,
okay. We talked about the macro AI. We talked about, right, all this different stuff. Where is crypto going to fit into this, though? Like, we are going to, like, that's the unlock that I feel like we're kind of dropping the ball on at this point. We're using it to build tools. We're using it to, like, coordinate people's management of their Telegram conversations that they can't keep up with, etc. But, like, what the hell are we doing with wallets, with crypto, with on-chain trading, like our bots, right? I feel like there's a big open table someone should probably sit down at, right? Is anyone doing this?
So my hot take, I was talking to probably the person that I think has like the best long-term kind of view on crypto of anyone I know. And he was like, AI is just so much more fun than crypto right now. That was like his TLDR.
It's like the innovation. It's like you said, like DeFi summer. Like it's this constant, like it's fun. There's not a huge amount of risk yet. Yeah. There's this huge amount of opportunity. Like you just have to show up.
There's alpha. You need to show up and learn things, and it's moving so quickly. And you're in that like early part of the curve that like like young enterprising autist can really like speed run a lot of stuff, right? And I think it feels exactly like early crypto to me. It feels like the 2016, 2017 era of like Ethereum turns up, you can do stuff now rather than just like forking Bitcoin, right? You can actually like build software on this platform and it does things and it's like, autonomous. Like it was fucking wild, right? And this feels like that. I don't know what the intersection looks like, honestly. Like I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure. There's something to be said for like agents using Rails, right? Like crypto Rails.
That has to be the great intersection, I think.
Yeah.
You can't. Agents can't go and make a Wells Fargo account or a Morgan Stanley account, right? They're going to be on these payment rails, and in reality, like it should that to me has to be where I think the next bull run is going to come. And I was talking to somebody else about it, similar to like I think your point, Kain. But I was kind of frustrated as to like where's the crypto bit, because stocks have just been vertical for like almost a year now. I mean, last time we saw stocks like this, crypto was like Filecoin is at 50 billion. So I'm trying to figure out like what's going on. And the truth of the matter is just like, when you take the speculation side of it, it's way more advantageous to go bid a AI shitter on TradFi that's building some sort of silicon wafer than it is Filecoin. Even though you'd think Filecoin would be biddable in something like this, but nonetheless, I think the bull run, at least for crypto, is going to come around this narrative around AI using crypto rails. Like that, I think is going to be the convergence for hopefully our alt season that everyone's been waiting for now about 5 years.
Yeah, I think we just need to convince the Clawdbots that Pengu is the
social currency,
best medium of exchange.
Exactly. Actually interesting. I'm going to write that down because I should probably make an effort to like go find one of these guys and be like, dude, let's make this the transactional currency. I'm going to write it down.
Well, it's funny, right? Because in the game that I made, Pengu is the currency.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to use this as the currency. So we don't have AI agents running around inside there yet. But soon.
You could.
We could. All right. Before we continue, here's a short word from our sponsors that make the show possible.
The world is about to see one of the largest infrastructure shifts of the century. New technologies are using more energy than ever before. But our legacy grids can't supply the demand. And we are barreling towards a global bottleneck. So Fuse is rebuilding it. The energy network is an intelligent, decentralized grid that coordinates smart devices to balance supply and demand. The network harmonizes existing infrastructure, increases grid capacity, and unlocks low-cost, clean energy. Energy dollar is the native token of the network. The more electricity the world needs, the higher the demand for the energy network. The value of energy dollars may fluctuate. From one of Europe's fastest-growing energy startups. Follow @Fuse Energy on X to find out more. Multi-Chain Advisors is an emerging technology growth firm that has helped create over $50 billion in enterprise value for more than 80 clients, like Pith, MoonPay Commerce, and Wormhole. They've worked with some of the largest and most impactful companies in the space. They're the partner you want when you're navigating markets and trying to break out from the noise. They help navigate TGEs, go-to-market, BD, and partnerships, capital markets advisory, PR, media placements, KOL activations, and more, driving execution from launch to scale. Their results are measurable. To learn more and start building real traction today, visit multichainadv.com.
All right, we're back. Tay, if you can introduce this segment, I would appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, so this has been like the highlight of my week. So where do we start? So as most people are aware, the government seizes crypto for all sorts of different reasons. When bad guys do bad things, they seize the crypto. It's a long process, right? There's like various stages and steps to the seizure process. I think a lot of people don't realize that you have to freeze it. You have to like coordinate with the people who have the crypto. You have to like move it. There's all these different things. There's like an equivalent, like there's like the on-chain processes and there's the off-chain processes. And the off-chain processes take forever because it's the government and it's like courts and a bunch of paperwork. And so in this case that we're about to talk about, we're talking about funds that were seized from a few different ongoing court cases. The first is the FTX Alameda fraud situation, the SBF, right? So when that whole thing happened, there's like a lot of moving pieces and there's criminal cases against SBF and there's settlements and there was plea deals, all this stuff, right? Any crypto that were like in those people's accounts at some point was like seized as part of the larger fraud investigation process. And then eventually it's going to like work its way through the system. And I assume that it goes back to like the trustee, which then distributes to all the FTX creditors. I assume. I don't actually know. But there's also the Bitfinex hack, the 2016 Bitfinex hack. If you
That's
guys
my
remember.
favorite one. It's crazy.
Yeah. So Bitfinex gets hacked by these guys in the US. Rosal Khan, who's like an influencer. She's amazing. So
But
they
smart, like clearly smart, right? Like
yeah. And I mean, this is peak early crypto, right? These aren't like dudes in North Korea or Russia. Like these are homebred dudes that found a way in. So yeah, they got arrested. All of their crypto, all the stolen crypto that ultimately, like that's his Bitfinex user crypto or Bitfinex, the company crypto, right? That was seized by the government. And then again, long process, right? Because there we go. And through a series of events, Zach XBT got some intel and then promptly tweeted the intel to the entire world, which led to a whole explosion of amazing. These are all very young kids, like teenagers, like some of them underage, some of them like 20. It's a whole different world. So 2 kids were having a competition, which is known as a band for band or B for B. And this is where these kids, they go on Discord or Telegram, they go on like live chat with each other and they show off the money that they have, which is often stolen money. And because it's like so easy to manipulate screenshots and videos and they don't trust anything, they force, like in order to like properly do a B for B or whatever, they have to move the money. And they're doing it on live stream and they're like heckling each other and like calling each other names and being really mean. And this was all recorded, and then the recording was sent to Zach, because why would it not be? And then Zach tweeted it. So if you go to Zach's Twitter right now, you can go watch the full video of this kid basically moving millions and millions and millions of dollars into an account that he controls, while this other kid is screaming at him and calling him names and calling him poor and stuff. And so that's step one, part one. Part two is that Zach gets the video. Zach then apparently goes and traces the on-chain stuff, right? And when he traces back to see like where is all this money come from, well, turns out that these are like little, well, not little, they're $1 million seizure piles. There's multiple of these piles of seized money that's been sitting dormant since like 2021, 2022, 2023. That's the source of the funds that the guy is now like moving on the live stream. And so Zach was like,
they didn't know that it was government fund. They just like seemed crazy.
I mean, the guys when they're doing these competitions, they're all scammers. They all do different scams and stuff. I'm not sure who knew. I don't know who knows what. I'm sure that I would say the main character who is moving the money, I think he definitely knew where it came from.
I mean, he had to get it, right? So they like he would have to get the keys somehow, right? So
right.
So I actually have some asymmetric information here that will be insightful, but it's through like a long line. So to give the audience some clarity, I for a long time I thought I was one of the biggest holders of Instagram usernames. I'd probably at one point.
Oh my God, Luca, you're a skid.
Yeah. So I've sold usernames for millions of dollars. I bought usernames for millions of dollars. And these worlds actually commingle a little bit. The username world goes over into the scammer world. And so this actually dates back 7-8 years to a kid named Malone, who was also like 18, 19, who stole $250 million from who we think was actually the guy who did Jelly Jelly, as funny as that was. And this is, that guy apparently had like $500 million in Bitcoin. Again, this is like all, speculation, but that guy's just like a Silicon Valley billionaire. But these kids are, to Tay's point, they're all 18, 19, 20 years old, and they all operate through, believe it or not, it starts with the username, because how do you flex on the internet? One of the best ways to do it is via these usernames on Instagram, on Telegram, and they have this network. There's actually a specific website. I won't mention the website because I don't want to. God forbid I mentioned the website. I might be donezo. But they all operate and meet each other through this website. This website also provides other services. You can take down people's accounts. It's like a black market for Instagram or social media services. And then
it's wild. It's a whole world. It's so wild.
It's a whole dark web of like ages 18 to 23. You'd be surprised. They don't get much older, right? Like the people. It's a very interesting place. 18, I've never really met anybody. Maybe once or twice somebody was like in their 30s, but they're all in this like 18, early 20s range. And it is such a mind fuck on how stupid some of these kids are, how smart and how stupid they are in the same breath, because they're clearly smart in how they're figuring out how to operate and go down these rabbit holes and, have the ability to finesse and scheme and build these relationships with the customer support agents. And it's incredible how they're able to do that. And on the same breath, it's like for Malone, for example, this kid actually stole $250 million, like realized, broke it apart with all of his boys. But he was in Miami with 5 SVJs in Los Angeles buying girls Lamborghinis and Birkin bags. I mean, there were stories, Kain, and I have some friends at babies who are like the rich of the rich. He would go to the club and clear $2-3 million in a night.
Yeah.
Are you stupid? I wouldn't even do that. Like if I made billions of dollars, one, but like two, if you stole the money. I wouldn't spend.
But it's the same thing as the $1 billion whale guy. that like had the
It's
MTB thing. I can't remember his name, but the book is amazing. He stole like it was like $5 billion, and he would just go and spend like $10 million at a club.
Easy come, easy go.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's a wild world. And I'm laughing so hard. Yes, the usernames. So they all have these usernames that are like one word. Yeah, they're like flax. So like you can mess with like at flax, and like that's like their reputation. They love it and stuff. Yeah. They think they'll DM me sometimes, and they'll think that they're like being super low key, and like I'll never know who they are. Like, and I'm like,
cool, you know?
I'm like, you have four Telegram handles, and they're all like these little short words. Like,
so
like I know exactly where you come from.
What arc here, right? So like you like,
girl, I bought them. You want to know why I bought them? I bought them because I thought they were better NFTs.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I crushed NFT trading like in a really big way. And I rotated all that money into usernames because, and I'll actually tell you, I have a couple. I sold a couple for a fortune. A lot of them I got smoked on, but I wasn't buying the like flex, like those type of usernames. I was buying what I thought companies were. And so I actually owned AI for a while. I owned intelligence and artificial intelligence.
Wow.
And the best one that I owned, that Instagram. So the big problem with this was I didn't actually own the usernames, right? So Instagram would start to take them down. So I actually would have probably made $100 million if Instagram actually let me keep the usernames that I bought. You know, a third of them got just wiped. And the most important one, the one that I would have made all the money on, was chat. And so the reason why is because ChatGPT rebranded everything to chat. Right? And so if I would have sold them chat, the Instagram, I could have easily got Sam Altman for 20, 30 million bucks on that. But I bought one for 500. I sold it for 2 million. You know,
I mean, this reminds me of like late 90s, like domain seller.
That's what I thought it was. Yeah. It was like the intersection of NFT.
Look, if like I'm in this corporate world, I've got this, and then all these little kids show up. He's like, wait, what?
It's interesting though, right? When you think about it, like there's a level of platform risk to like name handles, right? Like, and you know, we had this on Twitter. We tried to buy the synthetics handle on Twitter back in the day and somehow got scammed. I still to this day do not know how I got scammed on this because we were able to like log in and then anyway, it was weird.
Oh yeah.
But
they're very
eventually Twitter.
They're scammers, Kain. Like they're scammers like this.
Good job. Yeah, exactly. But the weird thing was like the guy sold it to us. Anyway, it's a long story. We don't need to get into it, but we eventually Twitter, like to your point, Luca, Twitter reclaimed all these handles. And so we're able to get the Twitter handle at Synthetics for free in the end because we had it like, you know, so Twitter just so the difference obviously between domains and Twitter is like a centralized platform. ICANN is not-ish, right? Like, and so you can kind of own a domain and there's like a little more decentralization to it. Interesting you didn't buy ENS handles.
I did for a half a second, but I then was like, oh no, I'm just going to buy these. These are the ultimate NFTs.
Right?
The ultimate valuable and good and status symbols are these like usernames. But I was then going, so how this all segued was before everything, I was going to be a partner in a company called Weed.com, right? And so I met this guy who had basically made like a couple $100 million on domains. He owns so many. And so when I got into the NFTs, made money there, and I rotated back into the usernames, I was going through his portfolio of domains and getting all the usernames. And then
you're like, I can do this better than this dude. It's like, I got it.
Because the bundle is more it actually adds an even full
it does.
So you buy the domain with the social handle, you actually could mark up, you know, a total probably net 10, net 20% on the entire package if it was just a singular thing.
Wow. And it's a bit, yes. Okay. So we'll leave it at that. Anyways, the handles are a huge flex factor for these guys. They love their handles. This particular guy had like 4 or 5 different handles, and every single one is like a 40K, 100K. Like, it's like a thing, and he like links them all up. In my opinion, the reason that you don't see them after about 23 years old is because that's when you boys, your prefrontal cortex is not super fully developed until around that age. There's a direct correlation between this. Once your prefrontal cortex kicks in, you're like, wait, hold up. Maybe I shouldn't be advertising my entire criminal endeavors linked to my handle that, that I'm very proud of and posting it on the internet for everyone to see. Maybe I shouldn't do that. But prior to that age, they are very proud. And that is what happened here. He was very proud of all this money that he had. He went band for band with this other guy. The whole thing was recorded. It was sent to Zach. Zach tweets about it. It gets bad, worse. It gets more. There's more to the story. Okay, so that was part 2. So Zach tweets about it. Hopefully, we're just assuming that the government has gotten their shit together and figured it out. The government is not one to like share back information about this stuff, though. So who knows what's actually happening? But we assume that the government has seen Zach's tweet and is taking immediate action to secure any open doors that were left open or whatever. The one like connection theory, and this is very unclear, but the guy who stole the money from the US government, it turns out that his father works.
Which is crazy.
This is insane.
Crazy.
Turns out that his father works for a company that helps the US, the DOJ, the DOD, and the US Marshal Service with seized crypto.
Like he's literally just on his dad's laptop. That's where we're at.
And so, yeah, so
Logging into his dad's laptop and taking the money.
And again, we don't know, like factually, we just don't know the exact mechanism by which anything happened. But yeah, like, was it just taken from his dad's laptop? There's also like maybe a possibility. Well, so, okay, on the internet, a lot of people immediately were like, oh, his dad did it too. His dad's involved. Personally, I'm not willing to say that. Like, that's quite a large accusation. Let's be careful there. I think there's a possibility that like maybe he just knows super deeply about this world. And like Luca was saying earlier, like they're very smart. Like they're very quick, they're very clever, they're very smart, and they're very quick because they're the young curious mind, right? Like they're very quick to like pivot one set of information or insight that they have and apply it to like a completely different mode. It's like probably one of the things that they do better than most actors. And yeah, exactly. And so you can imagine that perhaps it's like, I don't know, perhaps there's a couple steps in the chain where like he has this insight and expertise and then was able to leverage that or use that to gain entry in some other way that was not literally his dad's laptop. But we don't know yet. All right, so that's part 3 was the unveiling that his dad literally is like, yeah, he has like a multi-million-dollar contract with the government for the next decade for helping them deal with their seized crypto. So that's a thing. And then in true crypto fashion, what happened next? So he launched a meme coin.
Of course he did.
Because what else are you going to do when you have attention and aren't yet in jail? I don't know what the market cap got to. I checked like when I saw it, it was at like it was over 1 million. It was rapidly approaching 2 mil. He's been just like, yeah, the money's just being laundered. There's a huge amount of like drama in between the groups and of the groups and stuff that I don't fully understand anything about. I don't know that the meme coin Nobel peak. Like I was
it's somewhat of a flex to be like, I'm going to launch a meme coin and then I'm going to keep buying it so that it keeps going up because I have stolen money. And I'm just going to like make this meme coin $1 billion meme.
I found out how some of these guys are, it makes sense. When CZ got hit for laundering money, I was like, how are they laundering money through it? But, you know, you can be a seller of a token and then the Fugazi money is buying it on the other side. And that's how you launder. And it's actually a pretty No,
Yeah.
I don't want
No, I mean, the biggest thing that I've learned about money laundering, you have to have a fat amount of liquidity.
Yeah.
The more liquidity you have, the more you have to do something with the money. You cannot just take money from one place and put it in another account. That's not laundering it.
Yeah.
You have to do things. And in order to do things, especially in crypto, like that's liquidity. And so anything with liquidity is going to be used for money laundering. What type and how? This is a weird case because this guy, like, I don't know. I had some moments where I was watching this, like the live. They had a live stream, of course, with like the meme coin launch. They also got the scammer, the guy who had his money. Sorry, the guy who stole the money from the U.S. government launches the meme coin, and then he was trying to pay influencers to promote his meme coin, like the influencers that are sort of on the edge of crypto. And so they were trying to like send money to this famous streamer guy to get him to promote the meme coin. They're like coming up with a deal or whatever. I think it turned out that the streamer guy was not the streamer guy. It was just another scammer. And so they got scammed for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And like, and they were like, wait, are we even talking to the right guy? Like,
but again, it's funny, right? Because like if you're in crypto, you don't just go in Telegram and message like Luca, right? Like, because most likely someone's squatting on that handle and it's not going to be Luca you think you're talking to, right? And you know that you don't just like go and message a random person on Telegram and assume that it's the person you think it is. But if you are just like adjacent to crypto and this is your first foray into crypto, you can see how you could make that mistake.
The whole thing, I mean, because the whole thing is just like so fundamentally absurd at this point. Like once we got to the meme coin stage of the plot, I was like, all right, like I'm just here for it. Like I'm sorry, like I should be really upset and like morally opposed to people stealing from the government, but at the same time, like we're so far gone at this point, and there's like nothing I can do about it. Like,
yeah.
So I just have to like laugh at the whole thing. Scammers gonna scam scammers. There's streamers involved. I'm like having ChatGPT explain to me the kid lingo because I literally don't even know this shit. I've never felt older in my life, guys. Like,
oh, that's funny. So from scamception to in it for the tech, Ethereum versus quantum. So we've talked a little bit about quantum resistance in Bitcoin. We've talked a little bit about like where quantum computing is going and the various risks and concerns previously. Fundamentally, I think the concern, especially around Bitcoin, is that the cryptography that underpins Bitcoin and Ethereum and most of cryptocurrencies, not all, but most, is at risk of being undermined by quantum computing. And so we need to come up with new solutions to secure things in a post-quantum world. And this is like not like tomorrow, I think, realistically, but it's a little bit like AI. And I think the big thing, to go back to your point, Luca, about like what are the implications for super intelligent aliens wandering around amongst us, like shit gets better way faster. And so the people who are building quantum computers who have been like bashing rocks together for the last like fucking 30 years and have like 3 qubits that, work for like 20 seconds, all of a sudden they have like super intelligent people that will work 24/7 that can like do stuff. And yeah, of course there's bottlenecks of like physical, design and stuff, but we are seeing that these models are really good at like modeling things, right? And like so research in all of these like frontier, like very hard tech things, I think is going to change as well, right? As we learn how to use these models. And so a thing that we might have said, like for humans to coordinate to solve this problem, assuming the problem is not intractable, would take 15 years. Humans augmented by super intelligent aliens, maybe it's 5 years, right? And then like maybe it's 1 year or 20 seconds if it's a bunch of agents working together with no humans involved, right? And so all of these things kind of point at like risks that we previously said were like, meh, now feel much more compelling. And so the Ethereum Foundation is like, well, let's create a security team that we're going to focus on like quantum resistance and make it a like top strategic priority. My hottest take on this is the most un-Ethereum Foundation thing. It looks really technical, right? But it's, if you actually think about it from like a kind of tactical standpoint, you've got the Bitcoin people who are sort of burying their heads in the sand, and most of them are trying to ignore it and saying it's not a real thing. But this is like a genuine meta of like quantum concern, right? Quantum computing concern. And the Ethereum Foundation steps in and goes, we are going to lean into this meta and be like, hey, we're going to be quantum resistant. It's the most bullish thing I've seen out of the EF in a while in terms of like tactical understanding of like where the market is and investor concern. And like, we're going to get ahead of this thing and we're going to, you know, show that we're working on it. That to me was like the biggest deal of this, right? Because this is not a short-term thing, but if you look at the market reaction to it and go, well, if all of a sudden Ethereum is quantum resistant and everyone's worried about quantum resistance and Bitcoin isn't, it's a kind of, you know, it's a bit of an attack vector. So there's $2 million research prizes, live test nets, and a bunch of stuff that is happening. I don't know, Tay, if you've got a take on this or from a tech perspective, but yeah, it feels like a smart thing to do both like technically, but also just like from a narrative perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is like an area where it is the, in my opinion, it's like the best thing for like the Ethereum Foundation or like that similar org in other areas, right, to be doing, because it is like, it requires sort of that longer term, higher level, overreaching research, and like the research might not pay off. Like you're not going to see it come from.
It requires communism, and that's their wheelhouse. And
so when I think about like what is the ideal role of these foundations, right, it's like, you know, on the one hand you have Bitcoin, which is like there is none, right? There's like sort of these informal like people that are
about coordination. Like Bitcoin can't coordinate anymore.
It's bad, right? And then, you know, but you look at Solana, they've taken a completely different approach. They're much more on the ground floor. A lot of people think that that's much better. I don't necessarily disagree, but you're also not seeing them do, you know, these sort of like kind of, it's like this, like the nerd moonshots, right?
Yeah.
And like,
EF can pull this off.
Like, right. And I think it's great that they're doing it. I think it's aligned with their culture, especially, right? Like it's aligned there. I think it's also though like actually valuable, because I think this is like, I'm not panic stricken about it, but I think it is something that is going to be a thing that needs to be addressed, and the people that have understanding of it will be in a place to address it. I also think that the research will definitely, like, just having a deep understanding of this area is going to inform not just the literal like research that they're doing, but a bunch of other decisions that are going to be made in the short and the long term. So decisions about like, you know, priorities for protocol upgrades, like, you know, there's a huge amount of conversations and ways to do sort of like the root key management, right? It's not just a question of like, oh, should we update our private keys to a different key thing? It's like, you know, sort of these fundamental questions about like, yeah, like cryptography and authorization, and how do you not just like secure against the one attack vector, but how do you make this really robust in a really long-term way? It concerns me when I see like the Bitcoiners just being like, not a deal, like not a big deal. It's not so much that I fundamentally disagree with their take that it's not a big deal. It's that mentality.
It's scary. Yeah.
It puts you in a position to not be, you just sort of like lost that like curiosity and like, you know, investigation and
pushing. Been on that trajectory for a long time of like, there is a core group of people, and, you know, to your point about like 23-year-olds and their prefrontal cortexes finally developing. Like there's another arc when people get to be like, 35, 40, 50, whatever. And a lot of those Bitcoin guys have been around for a long fucking time. They're old now. And it's like, get off my lawn, you stupid kids, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's that energy of like, we're fine. Like they have become very conservative with like a capital C sort of conservative of like, it's a political movement of like, no, we don't want to change. We're resisting change. We're resisting anything. Bitcoin is perfect as it is, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's a dangerous political movement to kind of creep into Bitcoin, a technology that like we don't believe in change now. It's like
yes. Yeah.
okay.
And I find that people that try to hold these very hard lines, like these very tight, hard lines, like Bitcoiners, right? Where they're like, even the ones that don't fundamentally, like won't stand up and be like, quantum is not an issue. They're still not going to stand up and be like, we should innovate more, right? Like they're still like,
So like
worth doing.
the extreme end is like math is not real, right?
Yeah.
and like there's nothing to worry about. And then there's like the people that are like, math might be real, but like don't do anything.
Right.
Like that's the political
It's
spectrum.
wild.
It's wild. It is wild.
It's wild. And I think that it puts them in a really dangerous position because you have, so the way that I envision it in my head, and maybe I'm weird, but like you have this really hard line in the sand that you've arbitrarily drawn and you refuse to cross it. So you refuse to even consider that there might be something worth doing there. And so you're just like
political, like it becomes like this kind of political pseudo-religious stance that is
and it's against,
right?
It's against anyone that even, it's not just for quantum, it's for everything, right? The issue,
in fairness to them, they've lived through 15 years of shitcoinery and nonsense.
And a lot of people with ulterior motives who do want to change Bitcoin for their own means, and it doesn't need to be changed. I get it. Okay. But, and this is the thing, while it does protect against those ulterior motives and risks and bad things, like it is a very effective mechanism at protecting against that. If you ever cross that line, you are not at all prepared to respond to it in any way, shape, or form. And it tends to be like they're very scared of the slippery slope. They actually have a right to be scared of the slippery slope because they have no like muscles developed to prevent them from like, if they go over the line, they're gone.
Yeah.
Okay. They're going to be like, let's centralize the whole thing and create a committee. Let's go. Like it's wild. And to me, that's a real risk because if you don't have the muscles to react and set, like, you have no mode of operating. You have no way to deal with this. You have no way to make decisions. Your coordination is not there yet. Like, there's so many things where the lack of preparedness and the lack of like sort of practicing on smaller scale things and
this is like, it's like an immune system, right? Like they are this isolated tribe of people that have like walled themselves off from the rest of humanity. And they're like, no, we don't get the flu. And then someone lands on their beach one day and like, they're all dead in like 20 minutes.
It's
wild. No immunity whatsoever. So I think, I don't know, like Bitcoin, I mean, we've had these concerns, right? Like the fee concern, like how will security, if block production, like the idea that you can just one-shot something 15 years ago and look at the world today, like 15 years later, the idea that you can one-shot something and never touch it again and it's going to be perfect, it's possible. Like there is something that's almost part of the vibe now is like not touching it is its thing. But it's a risky fucking play. It's a risky play. If any one of your assumptions ends up being wrong and is invalidated by the world, and your vibe is we can never change the thing, it's concerning. If anything can pull it off, Bitcoin can. Like the vibe of like strong money, hard money, whatever. As long as the world doesn't invalidate any of the Bitcoin priors, I think we're okay. But yeah, here we are. All right. We've got a few more minutes. Let's wrap it up with some more nonsense. Pump bounced as meme coin volume creeps back. It does feel like meme coins are back. We got a little bit of a meme coin.
2 meme coins today. Like,
We got a bit of a meme coin resurgence. I don't know if this feels like early 2023 where meme coins were like starting to rip again and we're back in that, or if it's like the lost vestiges of a thing that's almost dead, a little bit of a dead cat bounce. But Pump Fun is up like 25% in the past 7 days because meme coins are on solid back. And I'm really curious your take on this because I also found this horrifically bad. White whale and penguin, like I was like, penguin, come on guys, like can we let's pick something else, right? Like that was pretty.
What is penguin?
Penguin was this. So there was the meme. There was the video of like a penguin that's like walking into the
in Greenland or whatever. That one.
Yeah, and it's like keeps trying to like walk to the mountains or something, right?
God,
that was a bit on the nose for me. I was like, we have a penguin token, guys.
That's
one to just airdrop people $2 billion to the faves, you know?
Yeah. What have you done for us lately, Luca? So yeah, I like the trenches are the trenches. What are you gonna do? But yeah, they've also been doing more buybacks. Buybacks are back, I guess. Yeah, we'll see. They bought $250 million worth of their own token back. It's pretty crazy. Like the state of the trenches, the state of alts right now, that you could buy $250 million of something and it doesn't moon in the most insane way, like, is nuts. It's really
nuts.
So yeah, it's still below the ICO level.
Well, and I feel like most of the meme coins that are doing stuff right now are it's like you have a very select situation with like a lot of like momentary attention and you're capitalizing on these people that have capital that are like willing to throw it into the meme coin or whatever. But I don't feel like that's deeply like the meme coins are back. I feel like it's, it's going to be, the meme coins are going to be another like tool in the tool chest, so to speak, like thing to do in certain situations, right? But it's not, I don't know. We need something new to do, guys. I'm bored. I mean,
Let's bring NFTs back.
Bring NFTs back.
I wouldn't mind.
And they were way cuter. So
they were more fun than this.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is like I don't like. I'm kind of here for any crypto activity on some level. Especially if it's like a little bit more organic. Like the biggest issue for me with the meme coins was like the sniping and bundling and just like mass extraction. Like that was really grim. But something that like pops off that over the course of like a few days gets like a bit of momentum and people get excited about. Like I'm not going to sit here and poo-poo that. That's fine. But yeah, the like inorganic sniper bundler like faux momentum stuff that was going on for so long, like that was not amazing. All right, it's been fun. Good luck with your Clawdbotting or Moltbotting or whatever it is that you're doing.
Dude.
That's it for this episode of Uneasy Money. Thank you all for tuning in. If you like the episode, follow us on the Unchained feed on X, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you next week.